All right, people of faith, let's take another walk. This time we're going to talk on the subject of summoning spirits, or we would call those angels or demons. All right. Now, of course, demons are of the underworld. The underworld is basically of darkness, which means it is void of light. I mean, it has no truth. It only can deceive. This is where you get the movies Transformers. You get the Autobots and the Transformers. Or not Transformers. You get the Autobots and the Decepticons. The Decepticons are basically demonic angels, or without light, or without truth. And Autobots are those who are with light, who are with truth. That's why they stand for good. Or that's why good is good, because it holds truth. And a lie holds nothing of truth because it's away from it. But anyway, with that being said, let's talk about summoning and chanting spirits. We heard from witchcraft to voodoo boards, Ouija boards, voodoo, dark magic, any form of sorcery that you can basically draw up a spirit, and you're basically not going to draw up a spirit from something of truth or something of good or something of light. You're going to draw something of the opposite. Because the angels of good and true and light is always around you. You don't have to draw them. At some point, you should know them by name. That's how close you are to the Father of truth, the Father of light, the Father of good, and we know Him as Jehovah. He gave us a portal through the Son of Jesus. Okay, now let's go to something very specifically. I'm going to show you something like how the racist spirit works. Okay, let's say if there's a segregation or there's a division between two ethnic groups, right? And it's basically going to be for a form of power. That's the reason why they are going to be separated. One believe they should be ahead. The other one believe that they shouldn't be treated in a separate I guess in a dividing type manner. They probably believe that they should be in one unison. So you have one that says, "Hey, you're this," and the other one says, "Like we're not that. We all are this." So one is standing for wholeness, which will be together, or unity that represents truth, that represents light, that represents good. Anything that's of division is not truth, is not good, and it holds no unity. So how the Father Jehovah sees it, he sees it as like unity is truth. Anything that brings together on one accord in truth is where he is. And there is no truth in a lie. So with that being said, take for example, on the average, if you were to ask yourself this question, how many of you that's listened to this video heard the word heard the word nigger, nigger, or nigga? You heard that word, right? Now that is considered a racist statement, or it's like an undertone. It's a I want to say derogatory, but it's a term that was made to I guess to oppress, and actually bring forth a judgment. In other words, deeming a person to be less than, right? So if you were called the word by one group, one ethnic group, that word, it would be considered a threat, not nothing of love or unity or truth, but it would actually do the opposite. It would actually deduct. It would kill, steal, and destroy, right? Because it's a derogatory tone. So words are thoughts, and thoughts are what? Spirits, right? Whatever a person think, so shall they be, or whatever a person think about, so shall they be. Not whatever thought they come to mind, but whatever they think on, or if once that thought comes in and they start to think on it, which is to meditate on it. That means stay focused, plugged in on it, and you are attached to it. And the more you think on it, or the more you meditate on it, the more it grows, and the more it becomes. When it grows, it becomes who you are. So if on an average of 10 cars that is playing music, let's say hypothetically you got 5 out of the 10 that's playing music with the word Nigga. What do you think they're doing? They are becoming one with that word. But that word was made to be offensive. It wasn't made to be objective to anything of light or truth. It was made to take you away from light and truth. That's why it's considered derogatory, or that's why it's considered offensive, because it was made to take you away from something that was of truth. So if a person hear it long enough, they'll become it. So that's what people have. That's what we call adapting. So we have learned to adapt to that. So if words are spirits, words are thoughts, and thoughts are spirits. So every time a person says that word, they are conjuring up that thought. They're conjuring up that spirit. And this is why a familiar spirit, which was put in its place, if you notice, there's a generation that will put racism in its place, and then it'll be a following generation that will come behind it to try to bring it back up, to summons it back up. But so, like, if you have an ethnic group that was pro-racism or pro-division, let's say racism, pro-division, no equality, nothing like that. They're pro against it. They need help, because what put that division in its place was something of power. So they would need something equally as power. That's why they need the masses versus one. It's like you got one soldier that's saying, like, I'm against, one person that gets on a podium says, I'm against racism, I'm against division. He immediately put that thought to rest. One person, because he stands for good, and good is most powerful. So he put that to rest. But now the other side, that's pro-segregation or pro-division, they need the majority, they need the masses to speak speak with them, because anything that doesn't have truth or doesn't have light doesn't have power. That's why it has to deceive. And the deception is to convince the person that they are for good, that they are of good. That's why they sound good. They try to act good, but they're not good nonetheless, because they can't sustain it. That's why it's called deception, because they have to try to be something that they're not. They have to try to be something that they're not. And that's the only way they can get from something that is of good to side with them. So if you got the masses saying the word Nigga, and just like every car to go past, and you get a group of people that is away from that word, they just like, I don't want nothing to do with it. If they hear it long enough, it will become what? A thought. And if that thought gets a chance to plant a seed inside their soul, their mind, their will, their emotion, intellect, and imagination. Your soul consists of your mind, your will, your emotion, intellect, and imagination. Once that seed is planted there, it's only a matter of time for someone or something will come and to water that seed. And it's going to bring a harvest. In other words, it's going to bring thoughts, imaginings, and then next you know, they will be drawn towards things of that nature. So now we can understand how that can get, how something of division can get conjured up. It can get brought from being dormant, brought back from being asleep. The racist spirit we put it to sleep, and then we'll draw it back up. Look how many people, look how many thousands is saying the word. Not even, let's say, of the group of people that is considered offended by that word. Look how many of those are actually saying that word. It's like you have 1,000 of one group that is offended by that word. You got half, if not more than half, actually saying that word. And in other words, they consider that word acceptable. Even if they're saying, like, it's okay for us to say it, but the word itself is a derogatory tone. It's an offensive tone. And so you're conjuring up that spirit. You're raising it from the dead. And so now when it comes to light, you brought it to a harvest point. So where it's going to go? It's spirits. They need host. So that word got to go somewhere. And if it goes into another ethnic group that you don't want it to go to, you're going to get offended by it, because they're saying something. Why? They're saying something that you don't want to hear. Or you feel that they have no right to say that because it's what? It's a derogatory tone. But you conjured that spirit up by with every song that we sing, or I don't say every song, but majority of songs that we sing, and the majority of songs that we play, and the majority of those who are actually meditating on that word, it has a place. Meditation means it has a place inside your soul. That means that any time that word can come up inside your soul, a thought of it, and you can think of it either positive or negatively, it still has a place with you. It's a seed. So it's going to produce. At some point, you're going to speak that word, or you're going to be around, since it's inside of you, it's going to be a magnet to those who are of that self same word. So, and then at some point, it's going to go into what we would consider the wrong hands, and they're going to confess it. And then at some point, somebody's going to act out that word. That word is division. So someone is going to act out division. And the best way to bring forth or to act out division is to kill, steal, and destroy. That's why it's considered death. That's why we should have no parts of it. But at the same time, the group that's summoning it is the group that is offended by it. I'm not condoning any killing, any stealing, or any destroying. We are pointing in this video. We are pointing out the cause of how it gets summoned. Once it get so like in the 60s, it got buried. The 60s, 70s, it was buried. Okay, so then you got the 80s. The 80s is buried, and 90s, all of a sudden we drawing the word back up. 2000, drawing the word back up. 2000, the 2010s, we put the word back in submission. I mean, and now it's now, let me say it this way. If you got 2000, we put it in submission. 2010, and now we're in 2020, it's surfacing. Because you still got those who are tolerating that as long as it's on something catchy. It's like if a beat is like a soothing flute to a cobra. That's how a beat is to a soothing snake. And so what I'm saying, if a person is deceptive, or if they are not of truth, if they are not of light, they can't help but to do what is to influence with deception. So with that being said, people of faith, you are the blessed. Let's be the blessing. Let's keep walking.